Hi, gorgeous, and welcome back to another Source Diva Podcast episode. I'm so grateful to have you here. As you can see, we're back in our South Carolina situation of a place. I miss Nebraska already. I will tell you that right now. So we'll definitely be returning. But I'm excited for today's podcast, as always intuitively channeled, intuitively tapped into. And literally, I just finished editing podcast episode 20, and now I'm recording podcast episode 21. And today we're going to be talking about body dysmorphia and dark force programming. And I'm already getting like literal chills as I'm like tapping into this. And I'm going to go ahead and shield as well, which I do energy work every single morning. It's like part of my routine, multiple different steps. Let me just shield right now for this podcast episode too, because this is something that literally, like, any dark force programming, I'm fucking getting hot. Oh my God. Okay. Any dark force programming is not going to want you to know this information because obviously, of course, it would literally crumble their systems. Me, on the other hand, I want you to fucking know. I want you to fucking know because obviously, of course, I don't want you to be stuck in that illusion. I've been there before. And I want there to be a literal army of source embodied divas, women who live their lives in alignment with source, with God, their intuition, and being the baddest, scariest intuitive bitch, but also a massive sweetheart, fully in alignment with source and fully balanced. And we need to talk about body dysmorphia because getting a little out of hand, not even a little, a lot. Okay. So body dysmorphia versus dark force programming, essentially, really, it goes hand in hand. But let me just start with the things. So the way that you view your body, your physical body, right, it is already set up in the sense that it has multiple different external perceptions and external um like societal views on it, and certain external like the way that you view yourself when it comes to your physical body, it's already linked to several different layers of external perception. Like, it doesn't even have to do with you and how you see yourself. A lot of it is already mixed in with the external world because naturally, okay, and this is like a survival mechanism, but then it's gotten distorted and convoluted with dark force programming, where our bodies, like how we're perceived by other people physically on the external, it's like a survival thing of like instincts to make sure that you're safe, right? Like, even in barbaric times, like, just very in the sense of like, my physical body needs to be perceived a certain way so I don't get hurt. Okay. Think of like people dressing or like covering themselves in like mud or putting camo on themselves, like camouflage, like way before camo was a thing, which we love camo. But just like in the sense of like the way that the external world views us, we have to be a certain way so we're safe. Okay. That is like the fundamental safety aspect of it, where your nervous system is just running on like automatic systems. But where it gets convoluted and distorted now with dark forces is the fact that it's the perception of now we have certain standards, we have certain movements and fads, we have certain patterns and themes when it's a good time to be really skinny, when it's a good time to be thick, when it's a good time to look a certain way and even dress a certain way, all of these things, where it's your entire physical perception, your physical body, my cat just sneezed, is being based off of like safety, right? Because your nervous system is running this previously built system, but then also too in the sense that it's now added on with societal expectations, your mom calling you fat since you were 7 years old, being bullied for being overweight or being too skinny, media, what it shows you of what a man likes in a woman, how they perceive women in certain movies, and oh, the pretty girl who gets all the guys, and then the ugly girl, she's not liked. She's not liked until she has this like certain glow up around her where she now looks a certain way. This is all dark force related, okay? Because ultimately, when it comes to the highest source frequency of you, If I intuitively read you, I always say this. If I intuitively read you and I scan your body, I pull in higher self. I ask higher self, what is the actual 100% most profitable, most potential, most fulfilled, highest alignment version of you? Okay. Where you are at your fullest potential and your physical build. And you can actually use this exact same phrase that I'm using and intuitively ask it for yourself, as long as you can get your emotions neutral. 500 pieces into that, we'll have to do a whole intuition. It would be like 1,000 episodes though. But if you ask yourself that question, so if I intuitively look in and I ask that question and I pull in your higher self and God, and I read you in that sense, your physical build and the actual highest alignment of what your physical build can look like can be 75% different than the perception that you think you want and that you think is what you want. Because a lot of the time, like I said prior, your perception of yourself already has been built on this thing of external view, safety, and distortion of external validation or safety, or in the sense of like what is most likable and perceived as likable. Okay. Let me come back to the body dysmorphia part. Body dysmorphia is one, a self image issue. Okay. Because you're not seeing yourself as your full, like the fullest parts of you and like pieces of you. You're not seeing how they're already perfect and how they're beautiful and how it's like intended to bring you into your highest potential. So you viewing your physical body as something different and having a dysmorphia around it, you don't feel safe inside of your body to even view yourself in the highest form of God and source. That is at a core of what body dysmorphia is. If I trickle in deeper, it's very specific for each person too, because it depends on what layer of like self-image issues you have, what trauma you have, what subconscious patterns you have. Like I spoke of like the restrictions in your energy, podcast episode 20, same exact thing. Like that's where we have to now layer all those different aspects, and that's where we can actually see, okay, what is the root of this and like how can we shift it? But body dysmorphia comes from that, feeling of not feeling safe and comfortable and secure in seeing yourself in the highest potential of who you are in a physical sense. So you can't literally see yourself, like there's no fucking way unless you heal it and rewire your brain and do the energy work and do all the layers of things to get yourself to a place where you can feel good in yourself. And of course, dark force programming just amplifies that, because if you already have body dysmorphia, which it's an awful thing. I've had body dysmorphia too. I've had all sorts of body reflections, and I will share that with you because I want to be transparent as well. Dark forces can like amplify that. Dark forces can feed off that energy, one, and then also to amplify it because they want to keep you in a perception where you don't feel safe within yourself and you can't trust yourself. You always have to rely on the external validation, perception of safety from an external view, perception of the world, essentially. So this is where unfortunately my mic literally died. I definitely had I was like looking at it in the beginning just to make sure that it was on, because I sometimes accidentally like click on the button. But no, she just died. She don't died. So for the most part, I can kind of go back and try to channel into what I was talking about exactly at this moment. Because all these podcast episodes are obviously channeled. I'm like intuitively feeling into the thing. Even the next topic, I'm like intuitively picking into the thing. So, let's see what I was saying right here. If you know how to read lips right now, would be a great time for you to go ahead and put that in here. But you know what? No, this is actually fucking perfect. As always. Essentially, when it comes to body dysmorphia, and I might just like pause this clip here and then I'll just keep talking. When it comes to body dysmorphia, obviously dark forces don't want you to know about any of this, because clearly if you knew that you could rely on yourself and you can actually view your body in a way that fits you most in alignment with your highest potentials and your higher self, it would make their job a lot fucking harder. Okay, a lot harder, because right now with all the bullshit that is fed to you through the media, like dietary supplements, medications, aka Ozempic, a lot of things like that, the way that they portray women in movies, the way how men also have like horrible self-image. Their testosterone levels are decreasing. There's literal men out here who take steroids to get a certain physical build and do not feel an ounce of love for themselves. This all ties back into body dysmorphia and how riddled with dark forces a lot of healthy, not even healthy, like a lot of the way that the media is like formed and like the way that they build this perception around your mind, so you never fully can trust the image of what your higher self actually holds for you when you look in intuitively and you see how your physical build is actually meant to be. What I was also going to share in this podcast is like my own experience with body dysmorphia. I excuse me, I always was called like chubby as a kid. I would always get made fun of, get bullied for being chubby in my family. I was like literally nicknames. They would call me Piggy because I was just a chubby kid. And then eventually when I would say like 11, 12, 13, decided to lose weight, but it was like extremely, extremely unhealthy where I was, okay, sorry, I had to clear my throat. So where I was basically really like starving myself and treating my body really bad. I mean, like I was doing 45-minute workouts, like HIIT workouts, and then going on a run and then watching every single thing I ate and was like starving myself. And I remember being so happy when I hit 120 and my weight, and I was like 5'2", and I thought it was like the biggest accomplishment ever. Mind you, I'm like 11, 12, 13. And I'm like, oh, finally, I'm as skinny as my 5'8" sister who was also underweight, who would also get bullied for being too skinny. Like, do you understand? Do you understand? So, but then I gained a bunch of weight through birth control. I'm really having to clear my throat this morning. I gained a bunch of weight through birth control, which is another conversation for another day with how many dark force riddled things and the ways that they fuck with your hormones. It's really going out there. Okay. So yeah, I gained a bunch of weight with birth control unintentionally. Obviously I didn't know that was going to happen to me, and I didn't like perceive myself as being overweight. I thought I looked good. I kind of had that like perception of like, oh, being body positive and being thick and like, oh, I'm thick now, so like it's hot and like blah 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 blah. But I was extremely unhealthy, like extremely, extremely unhealthy. I did not have like stamina. I couldn't do cardio. Like I probably would have ended up pre-diabetic if I kept going in the way that I was. And do you understand? Once again, that's extremely out of balance. Body dysmorphia, a bunch of fads, a bunch of bullshit, does not align with higher self. So finally, when my ex and I separated when I was 24, I was going to turn 25 that following, like in the next few months. But anyways, when him and I separated, I was like, okay, well, really, Sheila, I mean, there's no other choice right now. You kind of just have to focus on yourself anyway. So I was like, let's actually try to go on a health and fitness journey that is fully in alignment with higher self. When I look into higher self, this woman is a strong mommy. She's a strong mommy. Okay. Not only that, I didn't realize my potentials with horses, which means I gotta have thick thighs, thick muscle thighs to hold myself with these horses. Okay. Those are specific training aspects. So it's like a combination of, okay, let me intuitively pick and choose, or not pick and choose, I'm sorry. Let me intuitively see what is the highest potential, what is the highest form, what does it look like when I lose weight, when I get on my health and fitness journey in the way that is fully in alignment with my higher self. It doesn't look like going to the gym every single day. It doesn't look like dieting 24/7, but it's a very particular and specific schedule because my physical build at my highest potentials is a combination of being able to hold myself physically fully with strength, being able to shoot really heavy guns like 12 gauge shotguns, and also be able to ride horses, which obviously those are very specific muscles you have to train in your body. But obviously, of course, like I've said before, they wouldn't want you to know that. It's just like whatever fad and whatever, thing would make them the most money at that time. If it's you being really skinny, then that's like, the $1 million business they're going to feed you lies into. If it's you being thick and having a really fat, juicy butt, that's going to be the number one thing that they're going to feed you in that moment. But once again, it comes back to the dark forces thing and the body dysmorphia world and perception that is thrown in front of your face, because it ultimately, once again, takes you away from the perception of, oh, I know that I have a very specific physical build that is the most profitable in my highest alignment, highest potentials if I have this physical build, because I know, one, it supports all of the goals, dreams, hobbies, passions, and embodiments that my physical body needs to sustain for a longevity, like a long living life where I'm healthy and I can run around and I can be doing squats well into my 90s, all the way to the way that it actually builds up your nervous system and your perception of yourself and feeling comfortable in your body, okay? And ultimately that looks different for every single person, and it's not going to be this thing where it's like copy and paste, everyone's supposed to look exactly the same, or whatever trend and pattern is there at the moment. Obviously, of course, there's like certain features that you want to amplify, like for example, the whole thing with like having a big juicy fat butt. Obviously, we love those things because they're great and amazing. And like, I know I also too, I'm like intentionally, when I work out, like I'm heavy on legs, once again, horseback riding, but also too because I like how it looks on me, and I know higher self, like I'm already curvy, so it's just accentuating the natural attributes and features that my physical body has. Where it gets distorted is now when we're talking about let's do BBLs because we have to have this goal and we have to do it really fast and cut corners. That's where it's not good. It's not good at all. So whole point of this podcast, despite it literally cutting off and my mic stopping working, I think it's perfect in itself too, because if you can actually just see your body and yourself in its own standalone place, being an acceptance where it's nothing with anyone else. Like if you're wanting to lose weight, let it be through an intuitive approach. Let it be an embodied approach. What kind of goals, hobbies, passions, lifestyle you're wanting to put into yourself. Connected to your intuition. Ask what kind of hobbies are, the most profitable for you, the most in alignment with your physical build, your physical lifestyle, the deepest desires of your heart, because it's truly where your soul potentials lie. And then from there, see how your routine for your physical strength and health and body perception is built. Because I can guarantee you, if I put you in the best place on earth right now, if I take you on a trip, I bring you to an exclusive resort island where there's like minimal people there, everyone's just doing their own thing, and really like all you have is either the beach or the lake or whatever thing. Like just imagine your like dream paradise vacation. If I put you there for 6 months and I tell you, oh, just like live your best life, like no plan, no anything, just live your best life. See how much drastically your perception of your body and what goals you have for your body will change, because right now it's heavily convoluted by extremes amount of like external perceptions and viewings. Like I'm taking away your phone, I'm taking away your social media. You just have your body, your mind, your soul, and yourself and God. How would it then change your perception of how you see your body and the goals that you have for your body? No one's in your ear. There's nothing for you to view. It's just you. Okay. I love you so much. I hope you enjoyed this podcast episode, and I will see you guys in the next one, although we're talking to a black screen. I love you. Mwah. Besos.